Welcome to Season 2 with the Market Mystics, where we discuss and redefine markets, wealth, and trading on Earth as it is in heaven. Join us on the journey while we consider new possibilities with special guests who might just challenge a few perspectives. Get ready to dive in deep with your hosts, Joshua and Kim.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Monday, the day before Independence Day.
At least in America.
At least in America. Apparently, Saturday was Canada Day. I had no idea. Yesterday was Joshua Day.
That is true.
Tomorrow is the 4th of July, and the 5th of July is France's Independence Day.
Wow.
Isn't it Bastille Day? Bastille? Is that what it's called?
July is a poppin' month.
Especially the first week of July. I
That's
could be completely wrong about that with France. I feel like I learned that in high school. And sometimes our brains do funny things and make up facts. So I'm just going to look it up.
the 14th of July.
Dang it, 14th.
So close.
So close.
Well, welcome, everybody.
So glad you're here.
Yeah.
Let us reel it in a little.
We'll eventually find our home, find our pace. It's been a good weekend with lots of stuff going on, and we are ready to start Action July, which we sort of teased on Thursday. But here we are. It's Monday. It's the first day of it. And I think we talked about a little bit that we were going to be starting with Stillness. And so we just want to kind of expand into that a little bit about maybe what that's going to look like for Kim and I. And it's going to look different for both Kim and I. And would look different for you if you joined in with us. And so that's just part of it's part of our thought process, we just want to discuss, like, what's it going to look like? What are our thoughts on Monday going into it? And then Thursday, we'll sort of recap what if the 4 days in between look like. Yeah.
I think Stillness is going to look different for all of us. So I'm glad you said that. It's an interesting thing, because we're starting this series of action, and being still is our first order of action. However, we both really took time to ponder on this, and both really felt like this is the foundation on which to build any kind of actionable item in your faith, is really starting from the ability or the place of being still. So though, yes, action is important, also being able to turn off everything around you and focus is also a really big deal. So that's why we're starting with that. And maybe if you make a regular practice of being still, this doesn't feel like an action to you, but it's like serious action for me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of been stillness or meditation or contemplation, or all these things have sort of been buzzwords lately, and we've talked about them on the podcast. We've done interviews with people discussing them. But if it isn't already a regular practice, we just invite you to join us in whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's an hour, I just would encourage each person to really sit with what, if I want to take part in the Action July, what does this look like for me? And so I don't know if, Kim, you want to just kind of address what your thoughts have been, how you want to start experimenting with it.
Sure. I'm glad you asked that, because I was going to bring that up too. For me, I've been thinking a lot about it. This is something that happens with me, which is why stillness is important. I do a lot of thinking and pondering, and sometimes I get stuck in that place. And so to actually do something is like a big hurdle for me.
Mm.
So my plan, at least to begin, and we'll check back in on Thursday and see how it's going. But I plan to take time right after I wake up, whether it is before I get out of bed or not. Probably not. I probably need to get up and out of bed, otherwise I'll go back to sleep. Take some time in the morning and some time right before going to bed. I kind of want to get up and focus, and set some intentions for the day. And then in the evening, I want to like kind of bring everything back together, back to that initial intention, and kind of have a recap within myself and with the Lord of the day. That, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where I'm starting with it. We also made this journal. It's kind of extensive, so you can use as much or as little as you want. It's shared on our Discord page. So if you haven't joined yet, go join the Discord server, and there are some resources there, and you can follow along. So if you're doing stuff, share it. As we're doing stuff, we'll try to share it there too. But I also plan to kind of record some extra things too. Stillness isn't something that is easily measured. This is one of the things we talked about last week. Like, if we want to see progress from these action items, it would be helpful to be able to measure them. And stillness isn't the easiest thing to measure. So we both had the thought about keeping a journal of some sort with that, to kind of just help document our journey along the way. So that's my plan. I also plan to start journaling my dreams if I have them. Yeah, what about you, Josh?
So this had been up my plan since we started talking about this, was to spend some time. I think I would like a minimum of 20 minutes each day. And I have found in myself, although I would love to wake up and have it be the first thing so I can set intentions for the day, I've learned about myself that I can be still the best right after lunch. And it, like, there's just something about that, like, early afternoon where I like, it's like my body's awake enough that I'm not going to fall back asleep. And a lot of my morning tasks have been taken care of and my mind's at ease. And so that's sort of the time frame that I have found works for me. But yeah, I would like to spend at least 20 minutes. And I've decided that for the first week, I want to focus my stillness on love, especially love from the Father, love from the Creator, love from God.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, so I was sort of like discussing this with my wife the other day, and I like made this comment of, I think God shares mysteries out of intimacy. And it just made me think, like, so then it was like, oh, okay. And we started having a conversation about that. And I started to like have this thought process of like, yeah, I believe that's true, that mysteries are shared out of intimacy. And so if I'm going to start anywhere, I want to start in intimacy. And so that's my focus, I would say, of my stillness for the first week. And I don't exactly know at this point what exactly it will look like, but I know that it may look different each day of the week, of how I focus on that. But that is where I'm setting my intention, setting my heart, is setting it on love or ahava in Hebrew. And um, yeah, just I want to see what happens if I spend a week soaking in love and intimacy, how that translates into the rest of the week. And so we haven't really exactly um, laid out what the rest of the month is going to look like, but we have an idea that Kim and I have come up with, and it all has to do with connecting with different facets of life. And so this first week in stillness is kind of a focus on connection with, in some ways connection with yourself, in some ways connection with God, and everything will build from there. And so I just have been sitting here going, yeah, I want to see what happens with my connection with other things and other people when I first am rooted in intimacy first.
Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome. I also want to add, it is my intention and my expectation that all of these weeks are like going to build upon each other. So I'm not going to practice stillness this week and then stop it and then move to something else. Essentially, when we're building this foundation, our intention is to practice stillness this week, but keep it in place and add more things onto it as we go. Because honestly, I think it's a good practice. At least for me, it feels like I'm hoping this will be like a breath of fresh air. Just be honest. I've gotten to a place where I just have kind of let busyness and like tasks of life just be the way of life. And even though, I mean, we've talked about this before, the Father has gone to fairly extensive lengths to teach us how to rest and be still with him, essentially just be. I think sometimes human nature also has a pull and like wants to pull you back into like being task oriented and being consumed with the busyness of life, those kinds of things. Maybe I'm speaking too broadly. This has happened to me. Let me just speak for myself. This has happened to me. And I get real wrapped up in being like, hey, I'm a mom. Hey, I'm a business owner. Hey, I'm a wife. Hey, I'm a daughter. Hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And let me do those things. And that's how I accomplish my day or whatever. So I guess I'm just saying for me, a lot of it is focusing back on being and hopefully sourcing from that place and not the doing. And what have I checked off my list today?
Yeah, I think that is part of, if you have an adversary, if you have an enemy, if you have any of that in your mind, part of what I would do if that was me would just be to simply overload you with things so that you don't connect with yourself, you don't connect with other people, you don't connect with anything. And that's part of why we want to start with stillness, is because it is implementing a practice of just saying, hey, I'm just going to take a few minutes, take a few deep breaths, and seek connection before I do anything else.
Yeah. It's good. I'm hoping this will be really, really transformational. I'm just being honest. Like we talked about this last week and I'm ready for some change in this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I have high hopes.
Yeah, I agree. If nothing else, I think by the end of the month, it would be wonderful to have something measurable of like, This is where I was emotionally, physically, spiritually at the beginning of the month. And now at the end of the month, this is where I am. Yeah, I would love to be able to look back at from my journal of day one, July 3rd, and look back then later and say, oh, this is what happened. Like I can see progress or movement, at least. Is there movement? Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this is a really good time. I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know how this is for everybody else. This is like the perfect time to kind of take this inventory too, because it kind of feels like a holiday. So we had a weekend, and then there's one day, and then there's like a national holiday. And so this one day kind of feels a little holiday-ish.
Yeah, it's true. It's a
So,
limbo day.
right. And so I kind of feel like, oh, I've got that breadth today to be able to take an inventory and see where I'm starting from, so that hopefully we can track progress a little easier.
Exactly. Yeah, I think today's a great day to start something. Tomorrow's another good day to start something.
That's true.
Wednesday is another good day to start something. So just because you're listening to this, not the day we post it, don't let that stop you. Join us when you can.
Right on. Good stuff. Okay. Looking forward to this week, Josh.
Me too.
I know.
And
I
I'm
kind of
looking
can't
forward
wait
to
to come back.
Thursday and our recap. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining today, you guys. We'll talk again on Thursday.
See ya. Thank you for sticking around. Listen for new episodes every Monday and Thursday. Find us on all social media platforms by searching for Market Mystics. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. Visit upperroomcd.com, where you can find more information about the hosts, projects, and guests. Go deeper by booking a coaching appointment focused on redefining identity and wealth in your life. See you next time.